Working on a Dodge Dakota today. It's got the 4.7 liter engine in it. And the check engine light's on when you run it. Go turn the key on. The cool thing about Dodge is you take your key, you know, and that's the one with the digital odometer. But you take the key and you go 1, 2, 3. And then watch here, it gives you the codes P0422 P0455. So 442, and then it says when it's done. Isn't that nice? Wouldn't it be cool if every car did that? Dodge has always been really cool like that. On the older ones that are pre-96, around 96, you can go 1, 2, 3. And the OBD ones will flash the check engine light, you know, like 1, 2, 3, pause, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that'd be like a code 34 or something. Anyway, it's just a cool system. So 442 means there's a little leak somewhere. It's usually a gas cap wasn't put on properly or something like that. 455 is a gross leak or no flow. It's dark down here. So this is the gas tank. This is a charcoal canister. This goes to the gas tank. This is normally the hose that's bad, or this one is. This is the line that goes up to the other side where the pressure vacuum pump is. So we're going to pull this off and plug that off and put a cap or a bolt or whatever in it and then test it. This is not the way this adapter is meant to be used. It's meant to go on like a bleeder valve for brakes, but I don't care, it works. So I put this on there. I don't have a bolt in it yet, and it's open. So if I put a bolt in the other end of the line now, I know I'm on the right one, just double checking. So I'll put the bolt in it and then we'll come back up here. So what I've done is I've disconnected this, and it actually came undone a little too easy. That might have been my leak right there, this little part of the vacuum test port. So I'm plugged into the other end of this thing. I'll get this in frame. I plug it with my thumb, pump it up. I'm getting vacuum just fine. Watch when I let go with my thumb. So our gross leak is not up here in the area where it goes behind the battery in no man's land where I can't really inspect it very well. It's kind of a shortcut where I just check it with this, and if it holds vacuum I know it's good. So the next thing I'm going to do is lock my truck with the remote by leaning on this bumper here. Beep. Over and over again throughout the day. This new truck key fobs just drive me a little crazy. Anyway, I'll put the vacuum pump here or put a bolt here, either way, it doesn't matter. And I'll check the other end of this line and see how it's doing. The line comes up to a solenoid that's back over here. And so when we look at that solenoid, this is the purge solenoid. Basically the way that this system works is any extra vapors or evaporative gas stuff or evap, there's a hose that comes up off the tank and goes to a charcoal canister, and then there's a solenoid on that. On a lot of cars, on this one I don't think there is. And then it goes from the charcoal canister up to the purge solenoid, and then it goes from this purge solenoid, it goes in one. You can see where it says vac for vacuum. And then the other one, and that basically goes to the intake manifold, and this goes to the gas tank. It's oversimplifying it, but basically that's the way that it works. So you've got this line that goes to the throttle body right here. And the way that the system works, now that you know that we go from tank to charcoal canister to purge solenoid to the intake. So basically we've got a direct line, indirectly, to the intake where it sucks it up. So basically what the charcoal canister does, charcoal has a unique ability to absorb hydrocarbons, which makes sense because, you know, charcoal or carbon that's been depleted or burned or whatever has the ability to hold the additional hydrocarbons that have been depleted from it. So basically you get the tank, your hydrocarbons or your gasoline, the vapors get stored or held in a compact area in the charcoal canister so they don't leak in the environment. And then when you start your car up, upon starting it, you've got a little plug that plugs into it. It's got the positive and negative right. Go, here it is. So you got one side, it's always negative. That's the wire on the right side looking at this one. And then your computer sends a signal to this and says, open up. So basically, when you put vacuum on this one, it shouldn't let anything through. And then you put vacuum on the other one, and it does. But basically, it just opens it up. It's like a little program door on this hose that goes to the intake that says, "All right, slurp up all the hydrocarbons out of the vacuum canister." And then your engine uses it to supplement. You've got program starting or program fuel injection on everything on startup. You go to start the engine, and it just basically kicks up and runs on a program that's, you know, a little too rich or whatever. It's why it smells funny when you first start a car. And you warm it up, and your catalytic converter gets warm, your oxygen sensors, the heater circuits work, and they warm up and get your car running efficiently and with feedback, you know, from like mass airflow sensor, all these map sensors and everything. But otherwise it just starts based on, you know, just, you know, this ought to do. It just gets the vehicle going. Anyway, on that startup, when you're not real picky about how the fuel mixture is, that's when this opens up and it sucks and slurps all that stuff out of the charcoal canister and gets you where you need to be. Let's see this thing in action, shall we? So I'm going to set this camera here, and what I've done is I've got a power probe and a vacuum pump, and that's what you need to test these, or at least it makes it a lot easier. So first of all, I've got these two lines here that are supposed to plug onto here. You see the 2 and 2? So I'm already plugged into this one, and I'm checking for leaks. Remember 455 said there's a gross leak somewhere? Ew, gross. So I pull this hose from the intake or throttle body. You can see the needle going up on the thing, and then I let go. So this hose is good. But you're just going through different components in the system, just trying to find which one's not working. So that's the vacuum supply. So let's test the valve, shall we? So we hook this up to where the vacuum line goes. You can see it says vac right there. They've been so nice as to label that for us and make it easy. Pump the thing up. So it is closing properly because it's holding vacuum. Now we need to see if it's opening properly. Our 455 would say that it's not closing at all if this is the culprit. So you get down on there, we shoot some power to it. Which needle right here when I hit power. See how it just drops? So this solenoid is working fine. The purge control is good. So we need to find a leak somewhere else. So we need to continue our hunt for the P0455 gross leak. So while I have it out, I'm going to go through, and I've already tested the vacuum side of this, but I haven't tested the other. So with our bolt in place and this all hooked up, let's check it. I think we found our leak. At least a small one. It looks like a gross leak. It's just dropping down. Let me show you the bolt that I have in there. It's kind of coarse thread. So what I'm going to do before I condemn this line and, you know, get all crazy about, you know, pressuring it with the air compressor to make it hiss or smoke or do something. Let me show you what I got. So I've got a bolt shoved in there. It's shoved in pretty far, but it's really coarse thread. So and I know it's about this size, so I'm going to go to my vacuum plugs. Good to double check stuff, because you can spend hours down the wrong fork in the road, you know what I mean? So we'll set that there. Here's all the vacuum plugs that I save from all the new parts and junkyard stuff that I buy. So we'll dump this into a yellow tray so it's easy cleanup. Off the top of the workbench, pretty easy cleanup anyway. There's so many different sizes. Which one is it? I don't know. I'm saying that that one is pretty close. And if not that one, the one inside of it. These things are tapered, so they really cover the whole gamut. So the smaller one fit great. I put all the rest back. You heard the saying, waste not, want not. If you don't throw it away, you'll have it another day. You'll have it and it'll be available when you need it. So let's go back and check. Show you how pretty it fits first. Look how pretty that is. It just plugs that right off, nice and snug. I can trust that that's not going to leak. You know, like the threads of a bolt might. Alright, so this is still in play. We're good. We'll pump this up. Doggone it, it was my bolt. The search continues. Alright, well, keep checking. So that means all this is good. kind of nice that I'm not going to have to hunt all that down. It might be just this connection here. Like I say, that came undone. Look how easy that went together. That's probably the leak right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my hose cutter. I'm going to chop that off and put it back on, because that was just too loose. That's on good there. That might be all that it is. Let's pursue that. So I'm cutting this off, and I'm leaving a little bit about where it's ballooned up. I'm just getting rid of that part. So that'll help it to go on a little bit easier. Not easy enough to do it with one hand, mind you. Yeah, that's snug now. That's going to take two hands to put together. I think that might have been a problem. That's just so much tighter now. I mean, I can't spin this around like I used to. So if that wasn't the 442, it was the 455. Maybe, I think the 442's been there a while, and the 455 is just a recent development. So I pulled the Evap canister out. There's just a couple of nubs on the back side and a 13mm nut on this side. No big deal. What is a big deal is getting this thing to pump down. I had to cap it hard. I had my fingers over it and that worked okay, but for the video I got to have a hand free, so I did that. It took about 40 pumps to get it up to here, but it's holding like a rock. The reason why it takes so long is that there is liquid fuel vapor stuff in here and it expands. So you want to do this outside, because every time you hit this pump, it sucks a little bit more of those hydrocarbons out, and it comes out here into the air of the shop, out through this little vent cap thing, so it stinks like gas. So anyway, it's not the problem either. I checked the hoses. Usually this hose is cracked. That's usually what I find. It's the first place I look on these. And this one's fine, so I think more and more, either it's the pump down under here. You can look at your vacuum tree and it'll give you a little bit of an idea where to look. Is your Evap canister here. We checked the canister. This is your gas tank, the Y pipes. I wasn't able to get this to come off very good, so I didn't want to break the nipple off the top of the tank. But basically they feel good, look good. I smoked the tank earlier before starting the rest of this, just because I want to get my smoke machine out and use it. Duty cycle Purge Solenoid, we checked that. Leak detection pump, that's underneath it here, back under here. This big fat hose has a Y that goes into the pump, and then there's another one that goes into our, you can see the little Y right here, and it wasn't leaking when we were testing out to here, out to the throttle body, remember there. So I think the pump's good. I think everything else is good. I think it was just this one that was leaking, because it was so loose. Everything else that I check, I mean, I'm being really thorough. I'm not finding anything else. So I'm saying that's what it was. Should we watch this drop? Drop the bass. There we go. So I plugged the other end of the vacuum leak test tube just to see if it was leaking. And you can see it's holding just great. I did a little trick because I didn't have an adapter that would fit it. I'll show you here and get it out. Apparently I got it to fit pretty tight. Doggone it. Basically all I did is I took electrical tape, and because this was too small to fill the diameter and get a good vacuum test on this, I just wrapped it in electrical tape, and that increased the outer diameter. Yeah, see you later. So I've got the codes cleared. I checked that fat pipe as you saw with the tape. Checked the canister. I smoke tested the gas tank. There wasn't any big leaks from the filler neck or anywhere else. So the gas cap, the shape of this was a little funny and it was really rusted, so I took a wire brush, cleaned up all the rust, and then I applied some dielectric silicone all the way around the lip after cleaning it. So now things should just get down and seal real well. Done deal.